Welcome to the Awakened Human Podcast, the place to be for highly progressive yet extremely grounded intuitive guidance, energetic support, metaphysical tools, and higher consciousness for highly successful, ambitious, soul-centered visionaries and leaders like you who want to make a global impact and achieve your highest fulfillment by aligning with your soul's true divine agenda and your role in God's plan of lighted creation, and by utilizing your divine gifts, talents, and abilities from the higher realms. We do this by working with the non-physical realms of higher guidance, energy, intuition, and powerful metaphysical tools for healing and transformation. We understand that the real change and transformation that's being called for on planet Earth and in our own lives and our own businesses doesn't come from outside of us, but rather from within. And that the change that we desire to experience in our lives and in our world requires us to change from the inside. I'm your host, Lori Spagna. I'm a best-selling author, spiritual catalyst, intuitive, energy worker, ascension guide, multidimensional channel, animal communicator, visionary, lightworker, and luminary. I have dedicated my entire professional life to helping thousands and thousands of humans and animals all over the world in service and contribution to the light, which is the expansion, the upliftment, the evolution of humanity, to awaken, to uplift, and to align with our true divine source, which exists within each and every one of us. It is my passion, joy, and purpose to share this information, energy, and consciousness with you. Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing time with me. Let's get started. Well, hello, you beautiful soul. It's Lori here with you today. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad to be with you. I'm so excited to share some time and space with you. I hope you're going to enjoy this episode. I think you are. I'm looking forward to it. This is about breaking free from your comfort zone. And I feel very, very qualified to speak about this right now because, as some of you know, I'm going to be talking about this for a while because it was just such a game changer in my life. The last 5 months, I was on the road traveling. So actually, I would say the last 5 years I've been on the road traveling. So let me give a little background on this because it's all about breaking free from your comfort zone. And this is one of the most challenging things I think people are being asked to do right now on Earth. And it's also about taking risks, how to take risks and how to take smart risks. And I know there'll be more on that topic to come in future episodes, but let me give a little background as I get into this conversation about breaking free from your comfort zone. And I think this is like one of the most challenging things for people. So, background, the biggest comfort zone, if you know my background at all, that I ever broke free from was 20 years in corporate America, 20 years of misery and enslavement, working a 9 to 5 job, which was really more like 9 to 12. I just, was addicted to work because that I had that slave driver mentality. And during those 20 years, I got just so unhappy and developed so many bad ways of coping, right? Smoking, drinking, sexing, spending, pharmaceutical drugging, coffee addict, more spending addict, 6 figures in credit card debt, not sleeping, not being able to wake up, over the whole thing, right? And all that stuff got cleared, right, within 2 years when I got more aligned with my true mission and purpose, which, by the way, if that's an interesting topic to you, go see last week's episode. It was a really good one, all about finding your mission and purpose, uncovering it and revealing it to yourself. Really great episode. But here's the thing. I had to break free from that comfort zone, and it was not comfortable. I was in there for 20 years living that way. So miserable. And I just didn't know how to break free. Back then, they didn't have, like, you were lucky, Wayne Dyer books. That was it. That's what I had, right? He was the big influencer of why I moved to Maui, to break free from that comfort zone that was so uncomfortable that I got to the point I would rather die than keep living that way. Like, that's how I felt. I'd rather die than keep living that way, right? So if any of you have felt that way, this episode is really, I hope, going to help you because you get in these comfort zones and they're not even comfortable. They're not even comfortable, right? So, a little more background on this. I've lived in a lot of places. I lived in Maui for 2 years. I've lived in Los Angeles lots of years. I lived in the central area of California. You know, I've lived in France and Italy and summer in Greece, if that counts. But the thing is and I was always have had a traveler voyager in me, I love that freedom fighter. But the thing is that, traveling around isn't always so comfortable either. Regardless, at some point I moved to Florida. I just love swimming. I love boats. I love water. I did feel like I was there to anchor in some light to the degree that I could. And so I was living in Florida, and that got to be a comfort zone too. And it was just it's so comfortable, but I felt like I wasn't really achieving my highest fulfillment there. I didn't feel like I was meeting other people who were on a path of light. I felt like, Florida's got a lot of density. There's not a lot of areas that are super high conscious or super high vibe, although that's shifting as everywhere is. But, overall, I just wasn't meeting or connecting with people. So I was living a very solitary lifestyle there. And it was getting more crowded and the energies were getting very intense for me. There wasn't enough spaciousness there. So I decided to pick myself up out of that comfort zone and go on the road for what's been 5 months. And then that whole time on the road, I was definitely not in my comfort zone. I was constantly from one place to another. I was traveling, I was visiting different places. It was lots of fun. The first 3.5 months were fab. By the end of the 4th month, I was exhausted and I just had enough. I was like, "I'm done with all this traveling," and I still don't know necessarily where I wanna live, but I know I love some of the places I've been to enough to spend some more time there and to explore with not just being on the road 4 or 5 days at a time, right? But I got out of my comfort zone and, now I can look at myself and be like, "Wow, how freaking courageous." I've always been a courageous person, but, I didn't give myself the credit for that. Like, how courageous, how bold that I went and did that, right? And along the journey, I wasn't meeting with people who were saying, "Wow, you're so courageous." I was meeting with, like a light worker healer that I work with who'd sort of further beat me up, like, "You've got to find your home, keep finding your home." Like he was just being the mirror of my own shadow. Right? Because people will be that. They'll be the mirror of your shadow or they'll be the mirror of the light. And in this case, I had to find the light within myself because I didn't have anyone saying, "Wow, you're so courageous. Wow, how amazing that you did that. Wow, bravo, brava that you went on this journey that turned out to be a healing journey for you." I didn't realize all that. Like I had to discover that for myself, right? But it took breaking out of my comfort zone for me to arrive, in a sense, at this new version of me where I'm just starting to blossom again and feel like I'm kind of making a new comeback in my own business and career and my own personal mission of what I'm here to share and offer and bring through. And that's because the old version of me needed to get out of her comfort zone. It wasn't so much about leaving Florida as much as it was about breaking free from the old energy that I was stuck in. And that old energy was that old version of me who was over delivering, over giving, people pleasing, trying to be everything to everyone, trying to be everyone's savior, being there to extraordinary lengths without a lot of like gratitude in return because I wasn't acknowledging and recognizing how much I was giving and sharing and delivering. So I had to make that change within myself by breaking free of my own comfort zone. Here's the thing, and here's where I'm going for those of you who feel like you're stuck. You don't necessarily have to relocate or go on a 5-month journey across the states. By the way, I did it also in 2020 when I left Florida, traveled cross country, and hung out in Sedona for a year. Then I did it again when I traveled from Sedona, went up to Mount Shasta, hung out there for 6 months, right? You don't have to necessarily do that, although that would certainly help by changing your environment energetically and going into something all new. because that will shift your energy and change so much about the way you think and the way you behave when you're around different people, places, things, and organizations and groups and different energy. And it'll certainly bring about a kind of inner strength. But this is the point, because it felt like at the end of last year, when I started this journey, well, I started in January, that I knew that I had to heal from 2 years of like over giving and over delivering and people pleasing and bending over backwards and then sort of getting a little bit of abuse in return. I was getting abuse, mental and emotional abuse from people that I was being really good to. And I was like, how is this all showing up in my life? Right. But I knew I had to go on a healing journey, but I really just thought it was a relocation journey. But I knew I had to get out of my comfort zone. I knew that. And this is what I'm saying to you, that getting out of your comfort zone is one of the most important things you can do to help you transform whatever it is you're going through. Now, sometimes getting out of your comfort zone is like going on a physical journey, relocating, or going on an extended stay vacation, which nowadays is easier than ever to do that, by the way. Like 1 month Airbnb stay or VRBO, Verbo, or just an extended stay at you can get them pretty cheap at those extended stay hotels. You can save up, and with the intention to do that, like, go watch the episode on manifesting if you don't like the fastest and easiest way to manifest. If you don't know how to afford something, just put it out in the future and then decide you're gonna need X amount of money and watch how quickly, like, if you can get out of your own way. But the point is you can do that now. And, like, honestly, 1 month or 2 months would have been enough for me, but I thought that the journey was to find a new home, when in reality, the journey was to heal and resolve the comfort zone that I had stuck myself in for too long, where the old patterns were playing out for me of overgiving, over-delivering, people-pleasing, being a savior, being a workaholic, slaveaholic. Those old patterns had to be cleared from my field, and I was relatively unconscious of the fact that those patterns were there for so long. So the journey of the 5 months of travel was what helped me to start realizing it, clearing it, healing it, resolving it by breaking free of that comfort zone and gaining the clarity that I needed to see with new elevated consciousness and clarity. Those patterns had to be expunged. And that's what was happening. I was on, without realizing it, a 5 month healing journey. Now you can give that self to yourself too. And what I'm saying is, you don't necessarily have to go on a travel journey for 5 months. Breaking out of your environment is definitely helpful. You can do that with a month away from your home, an extended stay. Even if that's not what feels like the calling to you, breaking out of your comfort zone, and here's where I'm going, requires you to energetically shift in some way. So that means you either need to get yourself in proximity with other people who are already living at a different state of consciousness and energy. Could be a retreat. Those retreats are awesome for that. It can be, but it needs to likely be more than just a weekend, right? Like a week or extended type of involvement, right? It could be a mentorship program that helps you to see with more clarity the very patterns you're trying to free and liberate yourself from. Because chances are, when you're in your comfort zone, you're likely stuck there because you're doing the same patterns over and over and over again and not seeing it. I didn't see it until I got away. I didn't see it until I had, the clarity that I could reflect on it without being involved in it, right? So you have to somehow get yourself either out of the experience in a way that feels safe and good for you, either by physically relocating and or either or both by putting yourself in new proximity to new people that think differently, feel differently, behave differently, and can help you to see and perceive with different lens, through a different lens, a different perspective, and be at a different energy vibration. Remember, everything's energy. Everything is energy. So if you're stuck somehow or blocked somehow, It's because you've been hanging out in a comfort zone that's probably not that comfortable. I know mine wasn't that comfortable. It wasn't that comfortable to be helping people for 2 years who then were not really being, like, appreciative, bending over backwards. I'm not blaming the other people, it was my pattern. Those are my sacred contract people who helped me to see that that was soul work for me to do. That was my soul's work. It's not about blaming other people. The people in our world are the ones who help us either see the shadow in us that we have to clear, heal, and resolve, or the light within us. I hope that's what I'm being for you, to help us see what and who we can become, the greatness of who we are. So these are the people in our world. So if you're in a comfort zone, you need to find yourself in proximity to the people who are going to show you the light of who you are. That's why coaching and mentorship is so important, or else you need to get yourself out of that density where you've been hanging out, either or both. Now, here's the big thing about breaking free from comfort zones. What's really important is that whatever the comfort zone involves, some version of you not living at your highest fulfillment, not expressing your joy, not living joyfully, somehow feeling trapped or stuck or blocked, right? Somehow feeling like you're not making the progress you're here to make, or you're not growing in the way you're meant to grow, right? That's what was going on for me. And I was working like a slaveaholic in my business. Whatever it is, you gotta recognize, I'm of course not telling you you gotta, but please recognize that your setbacks, that these blocks are setups for success. That's like a very self-help kind of statement, but it really is true. You're not meant to be stuck and blocked for your life. You're not meant to be stuck in that comfort zone. You're meant to break through, have a breakthrough and level up to more of the greatness of who you are. But it's always your free will choice. How long are you going to stay stuck? How long are you going to be, in that bandwidth of energy where you're tolerating what's not comfortable anymore? And what's not comfortable for you is going to be different. Everybody's got their own zones. Like, I'm not saying your thing is necessarily people pleasing. For some people, it's just always putting on a brave face and smiling, even though they're unhappy inside. Or for some people, it's working at a job. I mean, for a lot of people, it's working at a job that you just don't love and doesn't fulfill you. Or for some people, it's feeling like you just don't have community and connection. You love your family, but they're not awakening, maybe. That's a common one. Or for some people, it's feeling like you have something magnificent in you that you want to offer, but you might not know what it is. If that's the case, listen to last week's episode, by the way, Finding Your Purpose. For some people, it's just feeling like, well, you have everything in life. Life is good, but something still feels like it's missing some kind of, next chapter or next phase of something more or greater. For some people, it's community and connection, whatever it is. This is part of the journey on earth. And there's nobody here who doesn't have their own form of setbacks, blocks, hurdles, challenges, and obstacles. And if those setbacks, blocks, hurdles, and obstacles become things that you tolerate for a really long time, that's how you get stuck in a comfort zone. And the comfort zone is asking you to change your pattern and put a change in the pattern. So for me, it turned out to be, I'm going to pack up, I'm going to relocate, even though relocation really wasn't the requirement. Because everywhere I went, I was like, oh, I love it here, but I'm not sure. I love it here, but I'm not sure. Right. And when I got to where I am now, it was like, oh, I love it here so much. I need more time. There's a few places I got to that were like that. I love it here so much. I need more time to know, extended time in different places before I know. So your shifting out of your comfort zone could be a physical movement of location, or it could be a change in vibrational proximity. Therefore, you're putting yourself around other people who are already in a vibrational bandwidth energetically where they are not hindering you. You're not hindered by them. They don't necessarily know you, perhaps, In other words, they're not the same people you've been around your whole life. You're putting yourself around new people who have a clear vision or picture for you or for they won't label you with the labels of who you've been. That's so important. There was an episode I did recently called You Are Not Your Traumas, You Are Not Your Upsets. And go listen to that. It's a really good one, right? Because the people around us start to put us into a box and label us the way they think we are, not for the truth of who we are. So finding mentors, coaches, different people to be around becomes really important because we're not hindered or held back by someone else's perspective of us as the limitation of who we are. That's part of how you do a breakthrough from your comfort zone. You put yourself around new people who aren't going to stick you in a box and identify you by some smallness of who you may have been in the past, because that's not who you are, and that's certainly not who you're becoming when you're trying to break through from your comfort zone. You deserve to pursue your dreams, your hopes, your desires, and live your highest fulfillment. You deserve that, and you're worthy and deserving of it. If it's in you, it's meant for you. But it's up to you with your free will choice to take appropriate action. Now, some of the changes you can make to break through your comfort zone without question, involve energy healing. That's what I do. That's so important. Energy healing and meditative states and reaching different brainwave frequencies, achieving different states of being. Absolutely, that's important. You got to work that in. Some of the changes may be eating different foods or eliminating foods that are no longer serving you. That's really important. Some of the changes may involve adding in new forms of exercise or physical movement, doing movement that you love. I've talked a lot about that on this show, and that's important too. But to really break free from a comfort zone, you're going to have to make some kind of radical change. It does involve some kind of self-discipline, saying, okay, I am going to make this change. I'm going to take different action. Today, I'm going to start doing this behavior, or I'm going to eliminate this behavior or that behavior, right? That's important too. But to really make a radical breakthrough, you got to recognize you're worthy and deserving of living your highest fulfillment or a life that is fulfilling and rewarding for you. You're worthy and deserving of it, and you're capable of it. It is within you. It's within you. It's possible for you and it's available for you. Now, if your mind at any point twinges when I say this, if some part of you comes up and goes, I don't know if it's available to me. I don't know. Ask yourself if you're like in any form of resistance comes up, that resistance is where the energy healing is, right? That resistance is where you need and require energy healing. Because wherever there's resistance, the energy of resistance is blocking and sabotaging. It will block and sabotage you. For years, had beliefs that some of my hopes, wishes, and dreams just weren't available to me because I had tried for so many years. I did everything. I was wholeheartedly in it, and there were things I wasn't achieving. And this journey of these 5 months, I finally broke free from that. I elevated in consciousness. And I didn't even know that I was going to do that. It was just part of the journey of how that healing journey helped me to elevate, because I was breaking through from my own comfort zone. When you start taking real appropriate action to break free from your comfort zone, because somewhere within you, you know you're worthy of it and you deserve it, and you are worthy of it and you do deserve it. And if you don't know that, get some energy healing right away to shift that mindset and to change that energy for yourself. Join me in any of my healing circles. You can learn about them at lorispagna.com under the live events tab. Join me and get that cleared, because I promise you that's hindering you and standing in your way. You are worthy of it and you deserve it. And your life matters. You matter. And so then breaking free from your comfort zone becomes, of course, I'm worthy of this. Of course, I deserve this. Of course, I matter. I might not know everything that lies ahead, but I'm going to break free from this box of limitation that I've somehow got myself stuck in. And You could say that you need courage to do some of that. It's true. You do need some degree of courage, but you can find the courage within you when you start working with somebody. If you do get a coach or mentor, that's part of breaking free from comfort zones, or get with an energy healer who can help clear that, because lacking in courage is just another form of lack and limitation from that old paradigm. You're not lacking in courage, you just don't have enough of the energy of courage infused in your field of energy, because you have access to the energy of courage. You have access to the energy of consciousness. That means courage is included in that. You have access to the energy of confidence, self-confidence, self-worth, self-value. All of those things are energy and consciousness, and you have access to those. But if your brain says it's not true, that's because the brain is still functioning from that old paradigm where it's putting you in lack and limitation and not in the absolute truth of who you are. I hope this is making sense. So these blocks, these setbacks, these comfort zones are just really setups for success, for your own growth and your own evolution, and for you to move past that, because your past doesn't define your future unless you let it. And you know this, your past doesn't define your future. One of the downloads I do with people, downloads, clearings, healings, is the download of your past does not equal your future. It doesn't. Linear experience, we already know, is just a human experience, right? Linear time. The truth of who you are is always being created and recreated in the here and now through your consciousness, through what you believe and perceive, through what you buy into, through what you emote, what you feel, what you sense, and your attitude about it, your perspective and your attitude, right? So you're always recreating your next now moment through your current now moment, through all those ways you believe and perceive and what you energetically feel and experience. So you can change that. Your past doesn't equal your future. Your present creates your future. And you can change anything in your present moment, including whether or not you have the courage, the confidence, whether you believe you're worthy and deserving of something, and you are, and you do and can have the courage and confidence to do whatever you need to do to break free from your comfort zone so that you can have and experience the life of your dreams and live in accordance with your highest fulfillment. That is what you're here for. That's why that's within you. And knowing that you're not your history and you can't be defined by your limitations or your challenges is really important, because you are the one who gets to define you by who you choose to be and the energy you choose to embody. It's good stuff. This is why energy work is so important. And you have the potential within you to create a new narrative for yourself, to break through blocks and limitations, to break through your comfort zone and create a new narrative. Look at this. I'm living in a different state, in a different environment, different people around me, doing different things. And that the parts of my past that I love are with me, still doing my podcast, still doing my work. My mission's even more amplified now, more clear now, serving in ways that I didn't even know I would, more and more breakthroughs, being invited to more and more conferences to speak and to share, because this is what I'm here for. Because some version of me is now stepping in that's like the next best version of me that went through that healing journey over the past 5 months. And I'm telling you, if I can do it, so can you, because I was pretty down for a little while in there. There was a little while there where I felt pretty broken. And I mean, I shared about this over the videos that I'm still meaning to release on the YouTube channel. So stay tuned for those. But don't judge me, because I really looked a mess and all those. Like, I was on the road traveling, wearing the same t-shirt every day. Never did my hair or makeup, right? But your past does not define you. And you have the power to create something new. And that's what I want to say. And you can break through your comfort zone. And every challenge is just an opportunity for you to become more of who you are truly meant to be, and to equip you with the inner strength, the courage, the confidence, the bravery that you need to move forward, to be more of the truth of who you are, more of the greatness of who you are meant to be. There's no obstacle in your life that you can't overcome. You wouldn't be here. Really, there isn't an obstacle in your life that you can't overcome. It's just a matter of finding the right solution, which is within you, shifting the energy around it, changing your vibratory state. And yes, if you need a mentor or a coach or a guide or a healer, work with them and get around different people who are going to see you differently. I had to drop a lot of relationships from my past who were defining me by my past and not seeing me for the breakthroughs I was trying really desperately for a while to break through and overcome and to find the new next version of myself, which happened so miraculously when I went on that journey. Right? So if you embrace the change as a pathway to your growth and an opportunity for you to become more of the wholeness of who you are and the richness of who you are, then these comfort zones, these blocks, these challenges, these hurdles are nothing more than just little pebbles along your path that you're just learning how to work with. Okay, maybe they're boulders, then you're meant to climb over them. Maybe they're pebbles, then you're meant to kick them away. Maybe they're pearls of wisdom that you're meant to receive, accept, and allow and absorb and share with others. Whatever they are on your journey where you feel like you're stuck, breaking through is you making the choice to make a change. You making the choice to make a change. And then taking advantage of the opportunity to make that change, whatever that means to you, either by physically changing your location, your environment in some way, and definitely changing the people you're around so you can start. I mean, I wasn't around anyone for a while, and the few people that I did have access to, it was challenging because they were still identifying me as the old version of me. So this is why I had to be doing that journey alone, because I had to find that next version of myself from within myself with my own divine team. Now, that may be part of your calling too, but most of the time, people really can't do it on their own. Most of the time, you need to put yourself around someone who can encourage you and uplift you. I've been amazed at how few people in the world can offer encouragement. Like, I couldn't find it when I needed it. I was having to give it to myself. And I give it to people. I think that's a big part of what I do is to encourage people, but not with like false, BS coaching, but with real divine channeling and really giving them higher consciousness to help them see where they're going and the path that they're on, how it's going to be opening up for them and how it's designed to help them up level and become more of the greatness of who they are. But I couldn't find that when I was looking for it in others, right? I had to That's what I do, that's what I'm here to offer, and I had to find it within myself for myself. It's not out there that much, I'll tell you that. I teach people how to access their inner cheerleader. That's in a lot of the stuff on the archetypical patterns, and I've done a couple episodes on that. But here's the thing, when you embrace the change, you are on a pathway of growth. And by recognizing you've been stuck, you're in some kind of stuckness or blockness or comfort zone that's keeping you stuck or limited, and by choosing to make that change, and let me add one other thing on this before I start to wrap for today. I've spoken to a lot of people over the years who've been stuck and blocked, and I remember speaking with one person at one point. I mean, she was just in so much pain, but she was still fighting. She was still Wow, she was so explosive and confrontational, and I mean, I had gifted like it was like a 15-minute call. I didn't wanna work with that woman because it wasn't that I couldn't help her, it was like, wow, she's still hating on everybody around her, like, there was so much hatred coming out of her. She was still fighting, and I knew, wow, her path is going to involve a lot more pain before she gets out of that, because you do, when you have to break free from a comfort zone or some kind of block, there's a part of you that has to learn humility. It's really true that it was the humility within me that was like, okay, I knew at some point, I was like, I'm a little broken. I have to really be careful with my own I have to be gentle and treat myself with tender, loving care. And that's the space of humility where the breakthrough can happen and the new you can start to come through. Right, because if you've gone through a really difficult, challenging time, And when that woman was there, I was like, "Whoa, I don't need another abusive person in my life. I don't need another ungrateful I don't need another ungrateful, unkind person, or I don't need another person who's just gonna be dropping all their pain on me and not taking responsibility for how they treat others in the world," right? Like, that's what I was attracting for a long time. So, you reach that level where you're, like, teachable and healable by saying, "I really need help. I know I need some help. I know I need a change. I know something needs to change, and I'm not sure what it is. I know I want some kind of breakthrough." Now, when you get there, that's the doorway. That's the opening. That's the beginning to you having that breakthrough and moving past that comfort zone, because that humility allows more of the light that you are to be revealed, the path ahead of you to be revealed. Because when I got on a journey, like I said, I just thought I was looking for a new home. I didn't realize I was on, what's the name of the story? The There's No Place Like Home movie? Red Slippers, Judy Garland, Wizard of Oz. I didn't realize that was the journey I was on. I was gonna develop more courage and bravery. I was gonna open my heart more on this journey. I was gonna reconnect with community, right? I was gonna get off that fence of being just a, scarecrow. Like, whatever. Okay, you get the message, right? But that's the journey when we're on it, when we're designed to have a breakthrough. Just be humble enough, recognize that you need some light, you need a path to be revealed, even if you don't know the whole journey, even if you don't have all the steps ahead. Get yourself away from the people for some period of time at least who have been keeping you stuck or blocked or limited or defining you as who you were, because you need someone either to uplift you or elevate you, or you're going to need to do it yourself. Either way, you can't stay in that contracted state anymore, because you're worthy and deserving of living a more fulfilling life and being more of the greatness of you. It's up to you to choose it. You do matter. It does matter. Your life matters. You're worthy and deserving of it. Be humble, because the breakthrough isn't easy. Getting out of the old state of being isn't easy. You're likely going to need some people on the journey, and the humility is what allows it to come through. But those setbacks are setups for success and for you having and embodying more of the fullness and the wholeness of who you are and who you're meant to be. One last piece: taking risks in life is what leads to growth and fulfillment. This does not mean jumping off a cliff and saying you're gonna fly. This means I'm gonna take the next right and appropriate step. What is the next right and appropriate step for me? And then deciding that the divine, the divinity within you sets you up for this growth, this breakthrough, getting out of this comfort zone. And so when you decide that is part of your divine mission, purpose for being here and reason for being here, you have to say it's safe. It's safe for me to take the next step. It's safe for me to move up forward on my path. It's safe for me to grow. It's safe for me to prosper. It's safe for me to succeed. It's safe for me to take a next right, reasonable, and appropriate risk. It's safe for me to pursue new opportunities. It's safe for me to break through. Decide that, because the only thing that keeps people trapped in their comfort zones ultimately is that they don't feel safe. They don't feel safe. You're the one who gets to choose. It's safe for me because this calling is in me. This desire is in me. So therefore, it must be safe. Because it's what I'm meant to do. It's what you're meant to do. You're meant to break free. You're meant to break through. But you're the free will who has to choose it. So start telling yourself, it's safe for me to take the next right step. It's safe for me to take a risk, and a calculated risk. Not jumping in, leap will appear, but take the next right appropriate step. What's the next right appropriate step for me? Show me the way. You ask that. And decide, I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm worthy and deserving of this. I'm capable of this. It's possible for me. If Judy Garland can do it, so could I. If Lori Spagna could do it, so could I. It's true. It's available to you. If you're been in a comfort zone, This is how it starts. I hope this has been helpful for you. I'm going to sign off for now, but I do want to say these kinds of downloads, because it's harder when you just tell your brain. That's just mental reconditioning. It's safe for me. I'm worthy and deserving of it. It's possible for me. But you really want the download, right? That's energy healing, because then it's not just your brain telling you, it's not just a mindset shift, it's an energetic embodiment shift, right? That's the stuff we do in the healing circles and in the energy work that we do. So please join me for those events. You can head over to lorispagna.com to learn more about what's available next so you can participate, because you got to actively participate. You got to engage. But if it's in you, and it is if you're listening, it's a calling, it's meant for you, and you're worthy and deserving of it. And I'm rooting for you, for your breakthrough, for your breaking free from that comfort zone that's kept you stuck for so long. And I know it's available to you and possible for you. Okay, I'm sending you so much love. And of course, I'm wishing you your most benevolent best. I hope this was helpful. Let me know. I want to hear from you. And please put your comments in and share what you want to hear more about and learn more about, because I will definitely do episodes for you when you ask for something that you're wanting to work on. Okay? I'm sending you so much love, wishing you your best. Farewell for now. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for listening today. If you loved the show and if you benefited in any way, if it helped you to up-level or expand your consciousness, if you gained any new insights or ideas, if it made you think or become more aware, or if there were some strategies or intuition that you may have benefited from in any way, would you please do me 2 easy and simple favors? First, if you would be willing to leave a review, it would mean the world to me. I'd be so grateful. And second, if you're willing to share this show with anyone else who would benefit, you can either post it on your social media or just email it to someone and share it with another person or any other people. It would be so awesome. This kind of thing is so helpful in expanding consciousness on the planet and helping others to benefit from this kind of teaching, which just simply isn't generally readily available in the mainstream. So sharing it really helps others benefit and helps our planet evolve and awaken. Plus, expressing gratitude and generosity in this way will also expand your capacity to give and receive even more. Either way, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and for participating and for sharing, and overall, just for being the magnificent, the spectacular, the brilliant, the fabulous, the wonderful you that you truly are, and for allowing yourself to be the very best version of you today and every day. All my love and gratitude to you.